Can a full-size 9mm pistol rival a 357 Magnum? And today what I have is the Xtreme Defender. The 357 Magnum version actually says Xtreme Hunter on the box, but on the website it shows Xtreme Hunter Defender, something like that. And these both have a Defender style bullet. And what I have for 9mm is a 90 grain plus P. That's actually the heaviest of the Defenders that I could get, to try to be as close as possible to the 120 grain 357 Magnum. Now we're going to use the 5-inch barrel Smith & Wesson M&P 2.0, and we're going to compare it to the 4-inch barrel Smith & Wesson 686, because we have about the same amount of travel in the barrels with those particular barrel lengths. You know, we're about the same profile here if we look at these guns. So that's basically your industry standard anyways. The rate of velocity on this is, on the 357, is 1700 feet per second, but Underwood I believe uses a 6-inch barrel. And 1475 rated on this 9mm. I don't know what kind of barrel they use to rate that. So we're going to go through the chronograph, see what kind of velocity and accuracy we get at the same time. And as always, we're going to go through our Juggernaut box, which contains a 1 3/4 inch pack of bologna, covered by 4 layers of denim, followed by 1/4 inch medium density fiberboard. This kind of represents like a pectoral muscle, followed by ribs or sternum. And how this normally compares to ballistics gel is coming out the back of jug 1, we're representing about 9 inches, back of jug 2 about 12 inches, back of jug 3 about 15 inches. It's not an exact science, obviously, but what I'm really interested in is to see if we go through all 6, because if it goes through all 6, that really indicates, you know, comparable to like a full metal jacket. And whether or not this performs like a hollow point is going to be subjective, because it's not going to expand. But if it can penetrate less than a full metal jacket around those, that'll be something. So let's get started with the test and see how these two compare to each other. All right, first up we have the 9mm rated at 1475. Let's see how close we get to 1475. $15.33. $15.53. $15.48. $15.42. $15.40. It's a pretty loud round, but we're definitely above rated velocity on this 5-inch barrel. Pretty impressive power. Let's see how that 357 compares. All right, next up we have the 357 Magnum rated at 1700. I highly doubt we'll get anywhere close to that, but we'll see what we get. $15.31. $15.50. $14.78. $14.52. $15.43. So this kind of mirrors the rest of the experience I have with Underwood ammo, that they load really powerful semi-automatic cartridges, but the revolver cartridges are always a little bit less powerful than something like Buffalo Boar's loading of it. Not bad, but that's what you get. So let's hit the ballistic box and see how these compare to each other, see if it acts like a hollow point at all. So let's get started with that part of the test. All right, first up we have that 9mm. We'll see what this does. Nice. All right, so here's our bologna pack. Definitely a lot less damage to this than what we typically see with hollow points, which doesn't surprise me because it's not going to expand within this bologna pack and blow it apart. And our hole through our fiberboard as well is quite minimal. So let's see if we stop that bullet sooner than like a full metal jacket. All right, our first jug. This is interesting. There's not as much damage as what we normally see, but when we hit jug 2, there's a lot more damage than what we typically see. Pretty interesting. Packed on 3. It looks like our bullet is drifting just a little bit to the right. There's definitely a hole in 4. There's a hole in 5 as well. All right, so don't see a dent in 6. So what this is going to indicate is about 20 inches or so in comparison to ballistics gel, which is definitely less than a full metal jacket, but not by a whole lot. Let's see what we got here. And what we got is what we would expect. There's no change to that bullet whatsoever. So let's see how that 357 compares. All right, 357 Magnum. I'm not really hopeful it's going to penetrate less. Heavier bullet moving about the same speed, so let's see what it does. A lot of damage to that first jug for sure. All right, here's our 357 Magnum. I can't necessarily say that looks like there's more damage. Looks pretty similar. Yeah, this is what it looks like when we impact a fiberboard without expansion of a hollow point. Much smaller than what we normally see. Interesting. Let's see what we got in water jugs. All right, our first jug definitely has more damage than the 9mm. Split both sides. Our second jug has more damage than the 9mm. Third jug, went through that, and just like the 9mm, it's drifting to the right significantly. Split out the side, jug 4, impact in 5. And it looks like basically it hit 5 and then kind of fell out into the box. So that's going to indicate roughly the same penetration as that 9mm. And of course our bullet is pretty unchanged, so that's not really definitive for our ballistic test. So I'm going to launch some off at 50 yards like I customarily like to do. See if there's a difference in accuracy at all. That might make or break one of these rounds. So let's see what we get for accuracy. All right, first up I have the 9mm. We'll see how this does for me. 50 yards. I think I'm hitting, but it's kind of hard to tell because they're moving so quickly. Let's try the 357 mag. They're going to be moving just as fast, but there's a little bit more bullet weight and we might have a little more momentum to be able to tell. So let's try that. All right, 357 mag. We'll see how these do. Does sound like I'm hitting. So, from what I can tell, both of these have really superb long-range accuracy, so that's definitely a good thing. And at that range, we might get a little bit less penetration in our intended target from a reduction of velocity. So I can definitely say, you know, that's something that it has. It's going to have the ability to punch through a hard barrier, certainly, because it's solid copper. It's going to go through car doors, car windshields, and pretty straight path. It doesn't appear to over-penetrate significantly in my ballistic test, and it seems to be a very accurate long-range round. So all in all, I'm gonna say it's a pretty decent round. I'd probably give it a 7 out of 10 or something like that. Not a bad round in general, and both of these were louder than I typically remember 357s and 9mm sounding, but the recoil was not significant with either of them. So pretty decent round overall if you can get it. So that's what you get today. So as always, comment, share, and like, and thanks for watching.